Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Building Drawing 101. In this episode, I will show you how to draw a foundation plan. Now, this foundation plan is based off this floor plan. So, the first thing I did was to draw the walls. Now, these walls are based off this drawing. So, if you don't know how to generate the walls, you can review the previous drawing on floor plans. Once you get to this point of the drawing, you can proceed to this video. Now, I've gone ahead and drawn the foundation plan. The walls for the foundation plan. And the next thing I'll do is to trim out these portions, and you'll see why they are important. I'll explain shortly. I'll refrain from trimming this one for demonstration purposes. Now, once we have the walls, we are going to proceed to do the trenches. Remember that we don't put in doors or windows in foundation plans because the foundation plan is showing below the floor level. So the next thing I'm going to do is to establish my trenches. Now, based on what is specified, you will know your trench width. So I'm going to work with a trench width of 450 millimeters for the external wall trenches, and I'm going to work with a 100 or 300 millimeter trench width for the internal trenches. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click on offset. I'm going to click on offset and I'm going to type 150. Now, if the trench width is 450 and the wall is 150, it would mean that I would have to offset 150 on either side to get the 450, 150 plus 150 plus 150. So I am going to do that for each room. Offset for each room. You have to pay attention keenly while doing this. In order to know if a room is completed, I normally do this. If the four corners are have the square in like this, then you know that that room is complete. As you don't want to later. Let me show you when I get there. So I am offsetting each room inwards. Oh, I made a mistake, a grave mistake. Let's undo all of that. Let's do the external walls alone. Let's do the external walls alone. I totally forgot that the interior walls will be a different offset. So for the exterior walls, the trench width is 450. So those are all your exterior walls, and this is what you're going to do. You're going to select all the lines that you have offset. And beforehand, I have set up a layer, a hidden line layer to represent my trench. So if you did not do that beforehand, please go ahead and do so. All right. So these lines okay, so that's how they should look. Right? So these are the trenches for outside. Oh, I missed out one. So remember 150. 150. So for my internal walls, I'm going to use 100 for my offset. So 100, 100. I can look at it wall by wall for both sides of each wall. So this is a wall. So that is one side. This is the other. One side, the other. I've already done this side, so I'm going to do the other. Ensure for this exercise you are seeing 4 lines per wall. 2 representing the wall and the 2 representing the trench. So the wall is inside and the trench is outside. So I'm going to click match properties, click on the initial broken line, and then transfer all the other lines to broken lines, or the correct term, hidden lines. This is what I can do to speed up the process. I'm going to put the cursor here, click and pull over all the lines. You can do it that way. If you do it the other way, it has to completely go over the line. And I don't want that. I want it to just touch the line and transfer. You can click the line one at a time if you wish, or you can just do what I'm doing now. So now that I've gotten all the lines, you can go ahead and trim. But this trimming process can take a while. No, I can't do that. This trimming process can take a while. You have another option that you can utilize, or you can do that. Look, trim. That is easier. You have to be careful when you're doing it, though. You don't want to trim other things that you did not mean to trim. All right. An alternative thing that you can do is to use fillet. So you're allowing the lines to meet at a radius of 0. So there is no curve. So it's a straight line. So anyway, you can use the way that is more feasible. Now for this exercise, you cannot use this here. This is what will happen. Since this line was a continuous line right here, I didn't trim here, so when I offset it, it was offset as one line. So now I have to offset a second line on 50. And then apply the fillet to that line. So that's why I trimmed this in the first place. So it's all up to you and your workflow. So I'm going to use trim. Yeah. So trim, 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 trim. So after you have established your trenches, the next thing that you will do is to put in the columns in the building. So I'm going to use fillet for this portion. So we are almost there. Okay, a few more to go. So there's here, here, and here. All right, so that's it. Let's proceed to the next step. So after we've gotten the walls and the trenches, we are going to now put in the reinforcement, which I'll refer to as the stiffeners, or columns, the special types of columns that fall flush with the wall are called stiffeners. Okay, so let's proceed. Now, there can be I stiffeners, L stiffeners, and T stiffeners. That's based on the shape. Now, let me show you what a stiffener would look like. For example, let me draw one here. Now, this is where two walls meet. the blocks can overlap, or a column that is called a stiffener can be placed there. So I'm going to measure 150 from this corner. Hold on, let me change this layer back to normal. 150, as the stiffener is 150. Hold on. So this is the first stiffener. Let's delete that line. So if you notice, this is an L stiffener based on the shape. It goes 150 millimeters in either direction from this point, 300 millimeters from that point. Now, one is also needed. Here's a little cheat to draw the stiffener. Since this distance is 150, you can just track from here and get this line. Track from here, get this line. And since this is at the end of the building, and you can use this center line as a mirror line to get the ones at the front. You can mirror even this side. This is done because this building is rectangular, so you might not be able to do this on all buildings. Now, those are the L stiffeners. I'm going to use I stiffeners for the rest of the building. Okay, here you'll need a stiffener because 3 walls are meeting. So I'm going to use an I stiffener here. So the I stiffener at this point will be in line with the wall, and this part in line with the trench. The reason why I don't put it in line with this trench, on the floor plan there was a door here. So if the stiffener came over some more, it would block the doorway. You would have to push the door over some more. So that is why this point is like this. Okay. For this point, the stiffener can go either way. Alright, this is what you can do. Since the stiffener, the I stiffener ideally is, let me do some modifications here. Ideally the I stiffener is 300 millimeters by 150 millimeters. So I'm going to type 300. So this is my I stiffener. Same thing can be done here. Where's the next point? Here. No, this can go in any direction. So I'm going to start it here. I'm going to bring it the other direction. Remember, the I stiffener is 300 millimeters. So this is the stiffener, this portion here. Alright, now before I go through all of the stiffeners, I'm going to do something called hatching. Now, the hatching toolbar is somewhere here. I normally hatch by using the H command, that stands for hatch. H, press enter. Once you press H then enter, you will see this up on the top of the ribbon. This up here is called the ribbon, by the way, the command ribbon. So I'm going to, if you notice, when I click in the spot, it is changing. It is set to this by default, but the reason why you're not seeing it is because it's so small. So I'm going to change the scale, which is right here, to 100, and you will see that. Now this is not what I want. The hatch that I really want is here, architectural concrete. Now it is very small, so I'm going to try 1,000. Still not what I want. Let's click on it again. Let's try 1. Alright, let's delete that and go again. H, enter. I'm clicking on the point. I'm wondering if it's because of the scale here. So let's do 0.01. No, that's not working. Okay, let's try another hatch. All the other hatches seem to be working. Okay, okay. So it wasn't selected properly. So now it's selected. Alright. So I'm going to go to 20 now. Now that's a bit too large for me. That 15. So this represents concrete, and the columns are concrete with reinforced steel. Reinforced with steel. So I can now press H again, and all the points that I've created, the stiffeners, oh, by the way, it should be concrete and 20 or 15. And I press enter again, and the last setting that I did should be saved. Now this is what you should have. And I press enter. Alright, ideally stiffeners should go everywhere where the walls meet. So these are the stiffeners for the external portion. So you draw a line here, measure 300 millimeters. No, this could have gone the other way. I could have drawn the first line here and brought up 300 millimeters in this direction. But if that's up to you. For here now, I'm going to bring it down here, since it would be in line with this here, which is also 150 millimeters. So what I will have to do is bring it from this point, 150 millimeters, then bring it up 300 millimeters. For here now, I'll stop it here, bring it out 150 again. And close off here. Then type 300. So stop here. Now these are for all where the external walls connect. Now for the internal walls, I'm going to put in some stiffness. I can put a stiffener here, but all right, there's a doorway here, right here on the floor plan, so the stiffener cannot go in that direction. Okay, so this is what I'll do. And the internal stiffeners are smaller. They are 200 millimeters by 100 millimeters. That's the high stiffener. So I'm using the wall, the trench width as my guide. I'm going to put a L stiffener here. So if you notice, I'm lining these up with my trenches, since my trenches are already 100 millimeters from the wall. So I'm using mostly high stiffness for my buildings. Almost finished. There's a nice stiffener here. And this one here. So I'm taking here, draw the line here, connecting this here. Alright, so all the walls where all the walls meet are stiffeners. So I'm going to go back to hatch, and this setting is saved. So I'm just going to click, 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 and click. I think this is it. Now there's one more thing that is left to be done, and that is putting dimensions on this plan. So I'm going to click the dimensions layer, then proceed to linear. Then from here, then I'm tracking to the end of the trench. So we are showing trench widths instead of wall widths now. So I'm pulling this 450 as usual, and then I'm going to go to annotate and continue. So I'm going to do this all around the building. So from trench to where the trench ends. So please take note of what I'm doing. I'm not doing wall to wall. I'm doing trench to trench and the distance in between the trenches. When I'm through, I can edit. So that's one side. Then I'm going to do the overall measurement. $450. The other side will be similar, but this time I won't put the overall measurement. So now that the builder is seeing these measurements, he can definitely know the width to dig each trench. And drawing the foundation plan is really simple. And please bear in mind, this is a foundation plan for a concrete block wall building. So this is a strip foundation for a building that is built using concrete block walls. So this is not a timber structure. This is not a brick structure. So let's do the back. And let's show you a little trick. Since the back and the front is basically the same thing, you can use your mirror command and find the center line of the building and mirror everything to the front. Okay, it seems like I selected only one of the layers, so I'm selecting all now. I'm using mirror. Now everything is being mirrored. Then all I have to do is to show the overall width of the foundation, and I'm tracking. All right, I'm going to copy this, bring it over here. You can do this from scratch or just do what I'm doing now. I'm going to call this foundation plan, and it uses a similar scale as the floor plan. Now let's do the final thing, which is to dimension the inside. Now we're not showing measurements between the walls, we are showing the measurements between the trenches, so please take note. So that's the length, and notice I'm putting them in line so that it looks neat. It doesn't have to do like this, it's not a requirement, but it gives your work it allows your work to look neat. So this is basically it after I'm through entering the dimensions for the foundation plan. So I'm just checking to see if all the rooms, length and width. Okay. So unlike the floor plan, you don't have to label the rooms that has already been done from the floor plan. So that's taken into account. Yeah, so that's taken into account. So there you have it. This is a foundation plan. Hope you learned how to draw it. Please like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the page to receive more content. Have a good day.